Kids in the opening.
Oh, beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife. Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, make God thy gold refined, till all success be nobleness, and every gain divine. And you know, when I was in school, we used to sing it something like this. Listen here. Oh, beautiful, far spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties, over the fruited plain. But now wait a minute, I'm talking about America, sweet America. You know, God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good. Yes, he did. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. You know, I wish I had somebody to help me sing this. America, I love you, America. You see, my God, he done shed his face on thee. And you ought to love him for it, because he crowned thy good. He told me he would. Every brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Oh, Lord, I thank you, Lord.
Hey, how are you, Don? That was a long opening.
Yeah,
Not bad
that
for
was-
some. Not bad for something that I did in like 15 minutes. It was basically a smattering of our writing staff for Direct Line in the club, and pictures some of our people that read our stuff sent us. Evidently, Ian sent out put something out about, hey, send us your patriotic pictures. There's actually a bigger production in the works. This is just what I did stole those for our opening. And I see Chris is on, but he jumped off. So maybe he'll jump back on.
Yeah, he was on briefly, so maybe he'll come back.
Yeah. So it's America 250, and he is back. Hey, Chris.
My battery died right during the intro. Sorry about that.
Hey, you missed a great intro. It was like 3 minutes long.
It was long enough intro. You could go fix that problem.
Well, apparently it was long enough. My battery died.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all getting ready to celebrate America 250 before we get into the last week's, this earlier week's primary results. But I mean, I tell you one thing I am noticing. I mean, I was for the bicentennial, But I will tell you, I do seem to remember there was more of a America thing. Seems like this time everything's been commercialized. I'm not sure. Maybe it's just I'm seeing more of those commercials than I did when I was 4 years old. Because when I was 4 years old, I couldn't watch television for an hour. And many times I see that the guy playing the Native American with a tear in his eye. That was like they seem to run that commercial a lot during children's programming time. But what was the other one? The other one, they used to do a couple of them back then that were kind of weird. The other was staying in school was the other PSA ad council used to really push. They don't do that anymore. But let's just kind of jump into it. Dan Cox won. He's our nominee again for governor.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually okay with it this time.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't heard as many wacky, crazy, outrageous things as I did 4 years ago. So,
yeah,
he may have realized that if he's going to have any kind of shot against Moore, he's got to kind of moderate himself and kind of look for those voters. Maybe take part of the page out of Hogan's playbook and hit Moore and the Democrats on the tax and fee increases.
mm-hmm.
Maybe even the Key Bridge. It's nothing's happening there really. I mean, that's going far slower than it should be. So there's avenues, there's opportunities out there for him if he's willing to just kind of keep it in that range.
Mm-hmm. And we're very disappointed a little bit for obvious reasons for the CD6 results. But I wish Robin all the best, and Robin's the nominee. We support our nominees. I put out an article earlier this week about unity. I understand. If you didn't support Robin, you're going to be, but give it a couple of months, then we'll all be fighting April McLean Delaney, basically who took out, that may have been the most expensive primary in America between those two. They just go to the ATM and just start pulling out money,
Well, Trump keeps spending money and he keeps losing races. So
how much did he spend this? He spent $60 million for Senate and lost.
This time, I think it was 26 million was the tally going into the primary. Who knows what he spent in the last 2 weeks? The thought was he was going to cost 30 million.
He did have a lot of commercials out there. I felt like doing a funny article. Hey, Democrats, vote for April McLean Delaney. She's pro-life. She supports pro-life organizations.
One of Trump's commercials was kind of strange in the sense because it talked about like an abortion clinic or something to that effect, a women's clinic in West Virginia, right? He was helping these women in West Virginia, and I'm like, that's not even Maryland, I realize it's part, it's close to Western Maryland. It was like, I don't, this is the state of Maryland. Why are you mentioning West Virginia? What does this make any sense at all?
He's anticipating.
You've got money, you just do whatever your consultants do, I guess.
Well, he was also probably anticipating when West Virginia annexes Western Maryland, he's going to have to run in West Virginia for Congress.
Yeah, that would never go well.
Yeah.
I think they did everything they could to avoid any issues here in Maryland. So it was either in DC, how much they hate Trump, or what they could focus on outside of the district. I mean, it was for the most expensive race, it had the least amount of substance that you could possibly have in a congressional race.
That's very true. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it was really, Trump's focus was really, most of his commercials, the ones I saw, were how he stood up against Trump, and that's what you'd get. I mean, I don't know. I don't think that's not enough. There's nothing there. And that and this thing I mentioned about the West Virginia stuff, and it's like, Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't enough to do that, and then he tried to, he was attacking, Delaney. I don't think that worked very well for him either, obviously, in the end. So, you know, please tell me that his political career is at an end. I'm just,
Oh, it's
you know,
not. I have a feeling he's going to run for governor in 4 years.
well, he's probably going to find a place for him. Yeah, as long as he's got the money, he figures he can run for anything, right? So,
Or he'll set up a super PAC to go after Westmore and Chris Van Hollen because they both endorsed April McLean Delaney. Funny, did you notice that all of the heavy hitter Democrats, all the establishment Democrats, were all with April McLean Delaney, Van Hollen, Raskin, Westmore, also Brooks. I think the other congressmen were all from Maryland. Were all. Did they really just hate him so much when he was in Congress? Because that's kind of unheard of that he gets 100%. Well, with the exception of Andy Harris, he gets all 7 Democrats, well, 6 Democrats, I should say, endorsing him, endorsing her, I should say. And I don't know if you saw that other commercial where he talks about he doesn't fight for, he fights for Washington County, not Washington and Hagerstown. When was the last time you were in Hagerstown or Washington County? Because I know all through the pandemic, he didn't, all of his offices were closed in Western Maryland.
He opened an office in Hagerstown after I did, and I think it was an empty gesture to the region, but his message, it wasn't resonating. It was a shame. I think instead of coming at Delaney from the left, he should have done essentially what I had done, which is instead of trying to bring solutions, what I think Delaney, where she remains vulnerable, is addressing affordability with a tangible plan. And I thought he had a real opportunity, quite frankly. He could have taken my platform, which was going to resonate across lines. And I think he would have come in and said, look, I have the business sense and I have the experience to actually make this happen. And instead, he went with coming at her from the left, who hates Trump more, and you can't buy the seat. I mean, it was sad. I think we missed an opportunity here to run against Trone or Delaney. Quite frankly, they both look like idiots right now.
And both are empty suits. Neither one of them, if April McLean Delaney didn't have the good sense to marry John Delaney and have all this money, she would not be a congresswoman. And David Crone, if Total Wine and More didn't do well, he wouldn't be running for Congress. And here's the thing else for you. He spent $86 million for his Senate race and his House race, probably maybe even a little more. He could have taken that $86 million, set up the David Trone Foundation, and help some of the people in Western Maryland pay their electric bills. You know how he would have done for that? How much goodwill he would have garnered from that? If he did
that about other candidates as well. That instead of glorifying themselves, they could help others. But instead, here they are.
And then I tell you one thing we really need to do. One thing, and I'm really irritated when people at the last minute go down and file. It's a little irritating. They file at the last minute, and all they do is become spoilers. That's the whole reason they wait till the last minute.
Well, we used to use a term in the intelligence community, and I think you've heard it, useful idiot. And I think we've had several of those recently of folks that became very much a pawn of the other side, either by their own ego or just by their own short-sighted decision-making. But it's a great term that we used to use within the intelligence community that I think applies elsewhere.
Yeah, very true. And I hope you will run again in 2 years, because I think a lot of people I was talking to, they're saying, this is just the beginning. And I'll talk to you offline, because I do need to talk to you about some other stuff with some other campaigns that are really wanting you to work with them.
Well, I gotta take care of some kids. I gotta grow up and get a job. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I look forward to staying involved. Of course, it was
absolutely.
It was a lot of fun.
I wish
really
you'd also run
data.
Yeah, and what do you call? So there's plenty of ways to stay involved. You can still have a normal life, and stay involved. I mean, I think I tell you the best candidate would be someone that does a little bit of research, a little bit of educating of the voters, kind of like what Larry Hogan did with Change Maryland. He
Mhm.
started that in 2010 after Bob lost. In 2011, he's actually is when he kicked off Change Maryland. And he used Change Maryland. He went there, and Change Maryland was a nonpartisan thing. He basically would highlight every time. And if somebody were to do that with David Trone, or not David Trone, April McLean Delaney, kind of highlight all the stupid votes she votes for and stuff like that. I know she does vote with the president sometimes, as as David Trone told us,
22% of the time, I think,
Yeah.
Republicans or whatever. Yeah.
But April, if you could kick that up to 30, we could be friends if you kick it up to a 30, 35% voting with the president. We might be able to be friends if you didn't.
That's begging for an Anchorman quote of 30% of the time it works every time. That's
Yeah.
April McLean Delaney.
Mm-hmm. And she's,
Yeah, I'm not in 6, but I was disappointed at the result because I mean, not just because Chris is on the program or anything like that, but I mean, I think Chris, he would have been far more electable, in the fall. We've known Robin forever, and he's run for just about every single seat there has been in this county, or in the state, different opportunities he's taken that, and he has done some amazing work for the party over the years, and accomplished a lot of things. But I think you're the one who had a really good vision, a really good platform, a good message.
Yeah,
That really would have. You mentioned earlier about resonating, about about crossing the lines. That's it. I mean, you have to kind of do that, and I think you were the guy to do it. So, I know you fell short, but I don't think you only lost by what, a couple thousand votes or so.
Yeah.
About 1,800.
Yeah, that's where the spoiler comes in.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this, Chris. You actually did not do what a lot of Republicans were doing who were running in 6, that knee-jerk reaction against data centers. That knee-jerk reaction, basically these are Democrat talking points. Our energy costs are high because of data centers. No, it's not because of data centers, it's because of Reggie. We get out of Reggie, we can actually produce our own gas and whatever, but that's why the real cost of energy is up. Heating and cooling homes is up because of that, frankly.
I was really proud of the campaign we ran because I thought it was a thoughtful campaign, and
you didn't go negative on your opponents either.
Exactly. I thought we ran on solutions and issues that we had thought through. I was trying to solve some pretty complex problems. So I'm proud of what we did. It's of course disappointing. We had 16% voter turnout across the state, which is insane. Yeah. And then you get these results. Sometimes you show up to the game, you never know until you play. And in this case, we got a result we weren't happy with. But
yeah, like the Maryland lottery, you can't win if you don't play, right? Maryland lottery.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think that's their slogan, but that was a great slogan. You can't win if you don't play the Maryland lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, were the Republicans even that motivated in this primary overall? The Democrats might have been a little more motivated. They had so many people that they were choosing to particularly at least on the county level. We had this the madness of running for county executive and stuff like that, and it was interesting to watch.
But
commercials
did you
was like
watch
Friedson was the only, we have 3 good Democrats, but Friedson was the only one who voted against tax increases. And I'm like,
once he's voted for it in the past too.
I need to check the record on that. It's hard to believe that happened more than one time. But if you vote against it one time, you can say you voted against it, right?
Yeah. He didn't take Grover's pledge. He should have taken Grover's pledge. That may have brought up. But a majority of the Montgomery County Democrats were against Will Chawanda. Basically, I think 68% of the county voted against Will Chawanda. They should all look at Esther Wells, the Republicans. Her and Andrew Friedson agree on pretty much all the fiscal issues. And your county executive, none of those social issues affect you, frankly. She's not going to be able to, Esther Wells will not be able to ban abortion, cut welfare, or anything like that, because her job is to keep the roads flowing free of crime and making Montgomery County a wonderful place to live and raise a family.
Well, just get this budget under control, because all they do is increase our taxes, and what are we getting for this?
We're like an ATM machine. The taxpayers of Montgomery County are ATM machines for the Democrats in Rockville.
Yeah, I mean they have become emboldened over the years that all they have to do is just keep raising taxes and no one's going to care, right? They take away the homestead credit on your property tax. It's if you've got a fairly large tax bill, $692 isn't going to kill you, but it's just a message you're sending to people that you have no interest whatsoever in cutting taxes and saving anybody. You just want their money so you can spend their money, and that's it. And you don't want, Chris, I think you mentioned affordability earlier. The Democrats, they talk out of their mouths, they talk, we have to make the county more affordable. We got to make Maryland more affordable. But what do? They go and they raise taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's also talk about the governor's race. Ed Hale, I tell you, he lost because he didn't get his message. He didn't win. He needed to answer the vital question, why am I a Republican now? And because the perception was he had no path of beating Westmore, so he became a Republican so he could run, get the nomination. He never addressed that when, why he left the Democrat Party and when he became a Republican. And the other thing is he kind of disengaged. He didn't go to many candidate forums. He didn't go out to the central committees, and he really didn't start campaigning until May of this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I thought he almost thought, somewhat like Trump, but maybe a little less bombastic. He thought he could just buy this, that somehow it was just his to take. He needed to kind of do the basic blocking and tackling, but he didn't articulate his reason. He didn't articulate a good sound way ahead other than, hey, I'm smart. Trust me, I'm a good business. So I thought that was a failed campaign, and it's unfortunate that I think it took a lot of oxygen out of the room for real conversations about how we should approach this. And
here's the thing. He couldn't find a Republican to be his lieutenant. His lieutenant governor used to be a Democrat too. It's like, couldn't you find a Republican to run with you? There's a lot of us out here. You could have picked anyone, hell, he could have asked Nicole Harris to be his running mate, frankly. He would have had a Republican there at least.
It wasn't a strong field to run for the Republican Party. And Cox, definitely had the best name recognition, having been the previous nominee and having held elective office in the state of Maryland. So, and like I said at the beginning, I'm just like, I haven't heard as much from Dan as I had in the past. And so it seems that he has toned down his rhetoric a little bit and everything like that, which is all for the better at this point in time. But hopefully they can craft a good message to fight against Moore. Moore isn't completely unbeatable, but it's going to be tough unless they really go after them on key issues.
I think Moore's biggest vulnerability is rented valor, tax increases, and fees. He has made the state utterly unaffordable. He took us from a surplus to a deficit. Wes Moore is, under him, he's seen the decline of our schools. Under Wes Moore, our taxes keep going up. And you know what's going to happen if he gets reelected? He's going to raise those tolls, and he's probably going to bring back the Easy Pass fee if he's reelected. And at least with Dan Cox, sure, you don't agree with Dan Cox on a lot of things, but hey, Dan Cox is not going to raise your taxes. Dan Cox is not going to drive business out of the state. He's not, Dan Cox, whether you like him or not, he's our nominee. We need to support him, frankly. And he's not we could do a lot worse, which is 4 more years of Wes Moore.
Go ahead.
And if he wins, I don't even know if I want to stay in Maryland anymore. I don't even know if I want to stay here if he wins.
the rented valor issue, I can tell you as a veteran, that boils my blood. Because anybody that's deployed knows you never claim an award that hasn't been presented to you. It's not just that it's been submitted. It's not that it's somewhere else. Certainly as an officer, you never claim something unless you've actually been physically presented with it. And then you maintain that record so that if it's ever not updated in your file, you have the hard copy and you go and get it updated. Whenever he says that it was submitted and not approved, that's an integrity issue. That's not just a military, we're all weird about ribbons. No. This is how we gauge integrity. And if you lie about your military record, which is one of the easiest things to verify, you're either ignorant and incompetent or you're being willfully deceiving. And I think he's on the latter side. And that I hope they frame this as an integrity issue. And the other part,
he already lied to us 4 years ago when he said, I'm going to run. I'm a different kind of Democrat. I'm a moderate. And he came in and took that hard left turn. If it was a car, everybody, if that wasn't buckled up, would be on one end and slid over to one side of the car.
That's where I think you frame this not as policy differences, but as integrity.
Yeah.
He cannot tell the truth as evidenced by his military
matters, as we used to say when Bill Clinton was in the White House.
Yeah.
And this guy is dreaming of living in the White House. And
there's no substance.
The Democrats are all ooh la la about Wes Moore. They think he's the second coming of Barack Hussein Obama. No. I'm sorry. This guy is no Barack. I mean, Barack Obama was nothing to kind of praise either. But this guy is not. Only Maryland Republican that ever got close to living in the White House was Spiro T. Agnew. Ted Agnew is the only one. And that's Democrat. I mean, Martin O'Malley dreamed about being president. John Delaney had a campaign for president. Next year, I guess we'll see a Chris Van Hollen and Wes Moore campaign for president because they're going to turn around. They're going to start raising money starting January. I mean, he's going to be an absentee governor while he runs for president for the next few years.
That might help. Maybe less damage.
No, because he'll put Aruna in charge, and she's even worse than he is.
Yes, she is. My goodness. Yep. He's definitely not a Barack Obama. And it's all, I would call it political charisma, no substance whatsoever. And what I mean, also no real leadership, not being able to have a vision for the state, a vision for execution. And that you can't, I mean, he's struggling with Maryland. I don't know how he could ever translate nationally.
Well, yeah, he's not going to win Iowa. He probably couldn't find Iowa on a map.
So, Dwight, I didn't mean to change the subject. Have you been out running lately? You guys caught me right at the end of a run. I'm looking at myself here. I'm a mess. This is awesome.
I go in the mornings because it's not as humid as it is in the afternoons.
Yeah, no, I was just out running, and man, I sat down. I was like, still sweaty, still a mess. But I got to count up to you. You were doing what, 10 miles? You getting ready for a half marathon?
Already did. We kind of did. The half marathon's not until September, but yeah. But I don't do 10 miles every day. It's like 4 to 6, usually 6 every day. Because 4, I just feel like I didn't do anything. The other day I was impressed. My one of the legs of the miles, I got 6:48 for a marathon. Yeah.
Was that downhill or something? Was that like?
No, I don't know what it was. Because actually, the whole run going one way is uphill. Going back is more or less downhill, but there are some peaks and valleys even then.
That's quick. It's good. That's a good mile pace.
Yeah. But, I mean, my first mile usually is around 8.5 to 9.5 minutes. Then the second mile goes to 7.5 to 8, and somewhere in there. And usually 7 is my average is like 8 something is my average. And I'm happy with that, frankly. 8 is fun. 8 for being 53 and being able to do a mile in 8 minutes, 9 minutes, it's not the end of the world.
Well, really, there's no, in my opinion, there's nothing more efficient than running. You could, you can bike, you can do other things, but if you can run, if your knees and joints can handle it, there's no better exercise than running. Even that moderate pace is what I run at as well.
Yeah,
like I got a friend of mine who goes.
You just hit on something though. That the reason I don't run is like and I've never really been a runner is just because always concerned about knees and joints and the long-term effect later on. I have a lot of friends that are, in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, and they love to run, exercise. That was how they did it, and they're on knee replacements and all kinds of things like that. And I said, yeah, we all have our physical ailments, but but running, depending upon how you run and where you run, can have a lot of effect. Are you wearing the right shoes? What kind of surface
Yeah.
are you running on? You got to you
I
have to.
can't run on concrete.
I
Running on
wouldn't run.
concrete.
Yeah, I would try to avoid running on concrete at all.
That meant, like during the pandemic when Larry shut the parks down, I did run a little bit on the sidewalk, but I mean, I'm like, I forget. I'll just go to the park. You know, I'll go underneath those little grates, or the orange fencing they put up. And they really only shut down the playgrounds, not the paths, which was good. And I was able to go on the path, which is asphalt.
So
I think the last time I was a member of the old Holiday
Spot.
Fitness, the gyms,
Hmm.
back when they were around before they became. I think they're now Lifetime or something or other.
I think they
And
were LA. Didn't they become LA Fitness?
oh, maybe they became LA Fitness. I think that's right. They became LA Fitness, but they had a gym up in Rockville on Rockville
Hmm.
Pike where the
Yep.
Toys R Us was and all that stuff,
Hmm.
which is now Pike and Rose, right?
Hmm.
Totally redeveloped. But they had an indoor track, but it was it was soft. I mean, it wasn't a really hard surface, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't think your joints took as much pounding if it wasn't a
Hmm.
big track, but you could run that. I think that the same thing at the Y.
Hmm.
I've been to a couple of different ones because my daughter is usually located near one. You can go on their tracks, and I think that's just a lot easier on the
Yeah.
joints.
I tell
Um,
you, if the county would replace the bike path, running paths, replace them. There's a technology where you take old tires, crush them up, mix them in with the asphalt, you put them down. It's like spongy. It's durable. Why don't we do that? Why are we spending all this money on bike lanes when we could improve these bike and running paths for people on
yeah,
Beach Drive?
once again, Dwight sore point, bike
Yeah.
lanes.
Oh, they're gonna put bike lanes on Rockville Pike all the way down. It's like we don't need bike lanes because of purple. This is another reason why Purple Line is a bad idea because they're shutting down the Bethesda Metro Station for the Purple Line platform they're building, and they're adding an elevator. It's like why nobody wanted that Purple Line. I'm willing to bet we're going to see crime spike once the Purple Line opens up. Frankly,
Well, I don't know. That's possible, but I mean, I think they're going to find what other cities have found when you build light rail is that you will get some people riding it, and it does provide some use for them, but it's going to lose money. There's going to be massive fare evasion because the way it's designed is
yeah,
that there are no toll gates. You just buy a ticket,
on the
and
platform, yeah,
yeah, on the platform, then you get on, or you don't buy a ticket and you get
yeah.
on,
It's
and you
funny.
and and you basically play the odds of will a
Yeah.
transportation police officer actually get on board and check to see if you've got a ticket,
Yeah.
or something like that. And so, but what you do get on those for sure are vagrants because of that system,
Hmm.
because
I mean, you
they're
see
not
that
going
on
to
Metro
pay.
too. I mean, you
Yeah,
even see that on the Metro trains too. Which we used to never see homeless people on the Metro train. Now we do. And this whole purple line idea is just, I hate that purple line. I don't like it at all. I think it's a waste of money. No one's gonna ride it. And funny, like when remember when Matt and I went to the San Diego convention in '96, we took the train into downtown San Diego, and on the way back, we're like, "Hey, we don't need to. We really don't. We paid going there. Do we really need to even pay on our way back? There's no one around to check for it. Hey Don, did we lose you? Oh
no,
no.
I'm
Okay,
here.
look, he dozed off. I'm like, did Don
No,
just freeze?
I'm I'm actually so I succumbed to Prime Days, and I bought an Apple Watch, the Series 11,
Hmm.
but I've been trying to pair this stupid thing, but what happened was that, when you buy these, a lot of times you buy the Apple devices,
Yeah.
they need an update immediately.
Yep.
So I started the update 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it takes a while.
And I'm like, and it was going nowhere. And I've only just now been able to start it all over again. I'm like, no, I'm not updating it now. Just pair my watch.
Yeah. It's like, what's funny is like I did get a really good deal on a television that I really didn't need on Prime Day. It was a 70-inch TV. No, yeah. Did I need it? No. I bought it because it's such a good deal. And I'm at that stage in life where I can't let deals pass. Like, it doesn't matter if you need it, but it's on sale, you may as well buy it, right?
Look, it's hard sometimes to pass up a deal, and I wasn't going to really buy the watch. I talked to my son, and he said, the prices were good at this point in time.
Well, Apple's going to raise their prices on everything too.
Yeah, and then I was reading, they're going to release the 12, and I thought, well, they might even lower the price even more, when the 12 goes. But then there's the other side of the coin, which is that they'll be clearing out their inventory, and people will be scooping up the 11 at whatever price there is, and I won't get it at any price anyway. So, and then they knocked off $20 more for Prime. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. But I tell you, Prime Day it's not what it used to be. It's like, I hate to say it, a lot of stuff is junk that they have on there. There's nothing neat. There's no really good deals. It's almost like they raise the rates, they drop them down on Prime Day, And let's not forget the true meaning of Prime Day. Optimus Prime died. And it's become so commercialized now. Prime Days has just become another. Yeah, I'm looking for I've got that meme somewhere. Hold on, I'll put it up. It's funny.
My dad had great advice years ago. He said, never buy something when you need it. So the fact that you didn't need that television, Dwight, means that you didn't buy it under any type of duress. It wasn't that you were having a Super Bowl party and you were going to pay. This is a TV you'll keep in a closet, and then you'll have some big event. You'll have an extra TV, and you'll be happy you have it. But never buy something when you absolutely need it, or you're buying it under duress.
Yeah, and let's not forget what Optimus Prime says.
Did you grow up a Transformers fan?
Yes.
Yeah, you've been on the show. You get on the show long enough, between the Star Trek, Transformers, you will hear a lot of things.
Never forget the truth.
Up on all of them. You can explain, why was he a Prime and the others were just Transformers?
Well, I think he was basically, he had that was a rank, and then they changed it. That's not a rank. It's just whatever they want it to be. It's like his surname was Prime.
I thought there was some lineage there or something about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, basically all the leaders are called Prime.
Yeah.
Because the leader after, like when he died, he handed the Matrix to Ultra Magnus, but he was only the temporary until Hot Rod became Rodimus Prime. And he did, because Optimus Prime, they did that kids' cartoons in the 80s. They did the whole Jesus thing. They had him come back to life to save. Basically, it was the darkest hour for the Autobots, and there was this sickness that was making everyone angry, and they got one of the Quintessons to bring Optimus Prime back to life. And he came back and he saved the day. And then they had one more season with Optimus Prime there. That was kind of an interesting one. That was also one where they had these protector bots, which are like ambulances and police cars and stuff like that, where the helicopter didn't want to be a transformer anymore. He didn't want to fight. So it's like there's this one scene where they had to combine, but the arm is not there to combine with. So he's like catching a train that's falling with one hand. Those were the good old days.
Did you have any of the actual things you could play with? I mean, I remember growing up.
I actually have one right here. Hold on. Oh, I got
That's,
a figure.
that's like saying, hey, let me go show you my GI Joe.
Oh, I had those.
Yeah, I had those too.
I still regret giving mine away to some friends of mine. I'm like later on we got to this point where there was this frenzy. It's like some of mine were in decent shape. I could have gotten a good amount of money instead of just giving it away.
Actually, my transfers are being blocked by the printer.
But I do have my Matchbox cars and my Hot Wheels.
Oh, so do I.
And my baseball cards.
See, this is Future Machine. He was a GoBot.
Ah.
And he was the only cool GoBot that they had. He's really a cool looking car when he transforms. And he goes from and this was the weirdest thing. This car was never in the cartoon GoBots at all, ever. It was from another series, but they basically brought it into the GoBot universe. See how cool it looks? You know? But
no, my ass.
GoBot I own. And but yeah, I still have Transformers around somewhere. I also buy the reissues. I tell you, when Star Wars Episode 2 came out, I did go to like every Toys R Us in the area and bought every single Jango Fett to corner the market on it, because I figured it'll be like he'll be as popular as Boba Fett. Not so much. I got an attic with a garbage bag full of those.
So one of the beauties of not being in a campaign anymore, I went to Toy Story 5 today with my two little ones.
Okay. How'd you like it?
It wasn't bad. It was an interesting theme because it was basically how do you confront old style toys, like what we're talking about, like you actually manipulate. Then there was a little sequence about like your battery operated digital toys that were big in the 90s and early
like
2000s.
Buzz Lightyear.
And then there's the latest phase, which is the everyone connected to screens. So I thought they did a pretty interesting job of looking at how toys and creativity and imagination has gone from intrinsic, like what you could bring to it, to now being presented to you, tension that creates.
This is my Matchbox Lincoln Continental Red. And it doesn't do it. Doors don't open, the top, but I had a lot of fun playing with this as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I also had this other blue Lincoln Continental, but this was made by a Japanese company called Pocket Cars. And their gimmick was the doors, all the cars, the doors opened.
The thing about Toy Story, though, is that it was the first one was 1995, right?
Yeah.
So here we are 31 years later, and there hasn't been a Toy Story movie for 7 years.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. I mean, that is a blockbuster franchise.
And unlike Star Wars,
for 31 years, but unlike Star Wars, I don't think anybody complained about as much about the other Toy Story. Between Star Wars has had a lot of issues. I mean, there were a lot of complaints of and things about the Mandalorian movie, about how lousy that thing is, and I don't think it did very well in the long run. But Toy Story is box office gold for them, which Disney badly needed. So, more power to them. I mean, there's for us that are older, it's very nostalgic. The whole thing.
Are you guys?
Woody, Buzz Lightyear, all the whole thing is just it brings me back.
Are you guys disappointed that that He-Man was not as big a success as it should have been?
When I saw the previews, and the graphics I thought were bad. Like I wasn't even intrigued by the trailer. So I actually, unfortunately, didn't surprise me.
It had a lot of. I don't know if do you remember the 1981 or 82 Flash Gordon movie?
Yes.
It had a lot of the same vibes as that movie. The music and all that had a lot of Queen stylings. They actually used the Highlander song in there. I have not seen that movie yet, but the reviews and I don't even know if it's in theaters anymore.
Well, if you set out to make a cult classic, you're probably going to fail. Like it becomes a cult classic because it fills a unique space in pop culture. I loved that show growing up, and it
was better than the other He-Man live action movie
with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah. And that one was, which is funny because in this one, He-Man goes to Earth. He ends up in Oklahoma. Sorry if I'm spoiling for anyone who hasn't seen the movie. I haven't seen it either. I'm just telling you from what I've read online. But they kind of have that Thor. They're trying to be too many things. They're trying to make like Thor, that He-Man's own. They can pick up that power sword or something like that. And there was a lot of buzz for this movie, but a lot of people. Everyone keeps saying that the movie didn't make a lot of money, but I'm assuming it was like the #1 movie the first weekend. It'll probably do better than Supergirl, which is coming out this year.
I think it's out right now, isn't it?
Yeah, tonight.
It's out
Yeah,
right
today,
now. Yeah.
Did they have what was the little cat called? It was like Snarf or the Snarf.
Orko, the wizard.
Was that the live action?
Yeah, he was, but he doesn't show up at the very end is when he shows up.
I remember that cartoon.
And they have Cringer. I don't know if Cringer talks like he did in the cartoon. I hope he did, because that'd be so much more fun.
Oh.
And they, it was good from what I can tell. They have had no. They didn't have a lot of the characters like from the old original series. Like Stratos wasn't in it. They didn't have Buzz Off, which I thought was kind of funny. Having a character named Buzz Off. They had Ram Man. And I remember when I was a kid, my friend Adam goes, why is Ram Man stupid? I go, what do you think? He hits his head against the wall. That's his job. How smart do you think he is? If he puts a helmet on and basically bounces into a wall to break it.
Sounds like he would have been the Marine in the bunch.
Yeah. What's funny is I'm not sure if it was Mad TV or in Living Color. They did this whole thing about pieces broken out in Eternia. So all the heroes don't get to be heroes, so they're all looking for jobs. And Ram Man's like his job is taking down buildings, demolishing buildings. But yeah, so we had. I think it was this movie season this summer sucks. So there's nothing really that I want to go see. I wanted to see him, but obviously not bad enough to go.
What do you think about Dune 3? Isn't that coming out?
Oh, I don't like any of the Dune remakes. I like the original Dune from the 80s.
Yeah.
With Patrick Stewart. They should have made a sequel to that. That was a great movie. They had Sting as one of the Harkonnen boys. Yeah. They had, that was, and I didn't even see that in theaters. I saw that when it came out on basically before it was Fox 5, it was WTG 5. And it was across 3 days. They did not cut anything from the movie. It was a 3-day miniseries they ran for Dune.
Well, I thought that movie was ahead of its time. I mean, it was released, in my understanding, it was released in a hurry to compete with Star Wars.
Yep, it came out right after Empire Strikes Back.
And they thought it was going to have more depth, a more substantive.
It actually should have. I hate to say it, a lot of the people that went to go see movies in the 80s, they were so shallow. They if there's no Darth Vader in it, well, we're not going to like this sci-fi. Dune is actually multiple levels. The story is so much better than Star Wars, and they retold it the same story again for the last 3 movies, frankly. Yeah, the first 3 was a retelling of the middle 3, frankly.
It was. So far the remakes I thought were entertaining. I've enjoyed them because they're able to pull the nuance better than the first one was. With graphics and computer generated.
I think the 1980s version, for the time, the graphics were phenomenal.
Yeah.
The Fremen bringing up the worms from the ground. I'll give that. I mean, the Sci-Fi Channel's version of Dune, the special effects was really good. I just missed seeing Sting as one of the Harkonnen boys who gets killed by Paul Atreides in a knife fight.
And then who was the fat guy floating around?
Yeah, that's Grand Harkonnen.
That's right.
And the Emperor was in league with him to squeeze the Atreides out. Mm-hmm. And because they killed off Baron, I don't know if he was a Baron or what, Count Atreides or whatever. He was Paul Atreides' dad. and they had the emperor had a witch or some woman that Paul Atreides' little sister takes her out at the end. I think she took out Baron Harkonnen too, floating fat man. I remember her making that comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once
I think
again-
that's coming out this summer.
So how do man we have gone yet down another rabbit hole.
I know, movies. I was talking to last night. I was talking to Tori Snow and Euripsy. I go, hey, you guys should come on Dr. Politics with us sometimes. I go, we're more than just politics. I go, we could be talking about gardening. We could be talking about classic television. We could be talking about movies. We could be talking about anything under the sun. And they're like,
we're lucky sometimes if we talk politics at all.
Yeah, no, it's a show about everyday life with a little bit of politics thrown in.
You throw it, yeah, just to make it keep up with the name and everything like that.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming around the bend here, Dwight.
Yeah,
so.
we're at final thoughts, everyone. Oh, we got 10 minutes. We could wait.
Still got a few minutes, but
we could do a topic. What are your thoughts on the remake of Tron they had a couple years ago, Chris?
Similarly, I thought that movie was ahead of its time when it came out, and the graphics could not really do it justice to this. And I thought the remake, it was a little bit cheesy, but I thought the graphics finally caught up to what they were trying to present. So I thought it was an entertaining remake.
The original Tron was one of the worst movies of that year.
Doesn't surprise me.
And there was another movie called Megaforce. Megaforce looked really, if you watch the previews, because I saw the previews for Megaforce when I go see Star Trek Wrath of Khan. And they were really good. But that was the best part of the movie. They took all the best parts and put that in the preview. And it used to come on Channel 5 on the weekends, and I remember I watched it once. I never saw it in the theaters. I'm like, wow, that's $4 I saved. Yeah, kids, the movies used to be $4.
So I saw Wrath of Khan in the theaters as well. Who was Khan? He was the guy from Fantasy Island, right?
Yeah, Ricardo Montalban.
Yes.
He was also Khan in the original series too.
Oh, I just remember I remember seeing it in the theater.
That was one of the best things ever, though, right? I mean,
but I did not do this. There was a Democrat named Khan running for office. I wanted to take a black Sharpie and do exclamation points and do Khan, like Kirk did. I had to fight temptation.
Yeah,
to do that.
All right, Dwight. Maybe we can throw in at least one more two political topics real quick here before we go.
Let's do that. Iran. Remember, were you talking about Iran, or you want to talk about Ukraine?
Well, I mean, I think we ought to be I mean, we talked a little bit about the primaries, but I mean, I think a little focus on that because of what happened in New York.
Yes, the Democrat Civil War just broke out.
The socialists, Mondami socialists came in. This is a problem, right, Chris? Right, Dwight? I mean, it's not. They're not going to overwhelm Congress, but I mean, this is kind of that whole squad thing, and here we've got socialists that'll probably easily win in November.
And Dan Bowman endorsed Mamdani.
Yeah.
And also this morning, I don't know if you saw Fox News. There's about 6 or 8 Democrats who want to go around the country and say, "Hey, look, this is not the Democrat Party." I think they should just become Republicans, frankly, at the end of the day.
Well, look, Letitia James has said, she made a comment about how this is, how Mondami is destroying the Democrat Party. And you have a Democrat socialist, running against Karen Bass for mayor of LA. I mean, it's possible she could win. I mean, there are pockets of these people that are out there. I mean, look at that crazy mayor in Seattle, who's now admitting, well, I guess some of my programs aren't working. Hello, and
look at Washington.
And Mondami has signed. I mean, and he managed to push through in New York City the rent freeze, right? 0% rate, increase in your rent if you sign a new lease for 1 or 2 years starting in like September or October of this year. Like, what landlord wants to sign on to that? It's nuts.
Yeah.
The tenants think, oh well, this is great. We got the relief we needed, but you don't understand what these building owners go through.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we just lost
battery.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it. Where's your power cord?
But as I was saying, like the Washington D.C. they elected a DSA for
Oh
mayor,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
and Will Chawando is a DSA Democrat.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
we've got,
they are out there. They're not. It's not sweeping the country per se, but when they do
but
win,
they're
like
growing, and their numbers are growing, Don. That's just it.
slowly but surely. I mean,
It's I
it's
think
not
the
like
Democrats,
it's not like Europe
yeah,
where a movement takes off and it
yeah,
just expands exponentially and it causes a real problem for the other parties. Um,
yep. And Britain, Great Britain, they just have a new. They're going to get a new prime minister who's to the left of the guy that left. And
yeah, somebody said that if you had to classify Andy Burnham, the guy who's going to become the next prime minister of Great Britain, he says he's to the left of Cuba. It's
yeah,
like, so I was like, yeah, I mean, the Great Britain is already has a lot of problems. I mean, Keir Starmer showed that the Liberal Party doesn't have any more answers than the Tories did, when they mucked things up
yeah.
over the last few years. And these guys have come in and they haven't done any better. They've done, they've made things worse, if anything
Mhm.
else. And then you're going to bring in the hardcore leftist in this
Yeah.
situation. I feel for the UK, but guess as if David was here, like I said, talk about his book. Elections have
Mhm.
consequences. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter where you're all over the world.
Yeah.
And those people voted, they voted for the Labor Party. That means they voted for Keir Starmer. They voted
Hmm.
for these guys, whoever the Labor Party wants to put in charge of the government. And they're going to be suffering even more. So they've got some long-term issues that they need to resolve.
And some of the bigger issues, here's the thing: we can learn from what's happening in Europe. Their liberal immigration policies, their social welfare state. In Great Britain, you could be penniless and live a very good life. You'd have a nice flat to live in. You'd have a television. You'd have running water. I mean, you have all the, they need, I hate to say it. I mean, yeah, we need safety nets, but I think maybe we've got too many safety nets. I think we should bring back work fairs where, if you are not looking for work, unemployment's like that. If you're on unemployment and you don't look for work, they don't give you your money, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot we can do. I mean, we still live in the greatest country on
We
earth,
do. We're,
but and so we're, and no one's perfect, and it is so
but yet
hard
we're
for
the
something
closest
we
to
have to
perfect there is.
get things done at times, but uh, it's we will get through it one way or the other, and
Mhm.
politics are just absolutely crazy at times, and we're seeing that now when voters go and they elect these democratic socialists. Is like, do you really know what they stand for? Because
Yep.
really they basically stand up there and they lie to you about what's going to go on, and they don't tell you what the consequences are of the policies and the actions they propose at all. So it's Mandami looks like a little kingmaker at this point in time, but uh, I don't know. I mean, I think New York was better under De Blasio than they're going to be under Mandami. Eric Adams, he could have done better, and it's unfortunate because I thought, even as a Democrat, I thought he had a shot of doing a good job there, but
Well,
they ran him out of town.
it paves the road for another Giuliani style guy. I don't know if they can survive 4 years of Mondani though.
Yeah, the problem is,
This guy is David Dinkins on steroids.
yeah, I mean, where do you find another guy like Rudy or whatever that can win in New York? It's tough. I
Well,
mean,
after President Trump will be out of office by the time the mayor's race. Maybe President Trump wants to take his hand at mayor of New York City.
wouldn't that be a riot?
Well, you know how many liberals' heads would explode if he ran and
But I mean,
won.
Trump really lives in Florida now, anyway. So I mean,
Yeah. But don't underestimate the need to stick it to the Democrats.
Yeah, even at Trump's age, you just kind of think like, even though he'll be leaving the Oval Office, in January of 2029, he won't go quietly. I mean, if he's still got his energy and his mental faculties, you're going to hear from this guy for a long time,
Oh yeah,
even at
yeah.
age.
And we still hear from Barack Obama, and he says nothing of any substance.
Yeah, but you don't really hear much from Joe, right? I mean, that
Yeah.
Joe's got issues.
Speaking of Joe, I got you guys talk. I got to find something for you guys. I found it, and it's hilarious.
Well, we can throw out too, because you mentioned Obama. We can talk about briefly the Obama Presidential Library, or whatever they're calling it.
It's an eyesore.
A library where there are no presidential papers, because apparently they're all at the archives, but there is a full length basketball court inside there, and all of this. And
what is with Obama and the basketball court? Is what I want to know. What is that?
He did it at the White House. He's put it in this library thing. I guess most rabid Obama fans will go to that thing, but that's definitely one library I would skip, in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. And it's just too funny, I think, sometimes.
So, Don, all that talk about the Democrat socialists, I mean, it's amazing. Democrats have taken what was one of the deadly sins, envy, and they've turned it into a virtue. And now, instead of a safety net, that's entitlement. Like you start with that level of assistance, and then the idea is you build a life on top of the state assistance. I've heard a quote recently, and it was the best way to frame this. Democrats measure social welfare by how many they have on it or how many they can increase it. And Republicans view how few need social safety nets as a measure of success. So you have this split where one is saying always more is better. And then the other side, on the conservative side, we're saying if we can set the conditions for fewer people to need it, that's success. So we're not cutting services, we're setting conditions for people to evolve off of it. And that split has gotten lost, where now it's an entitlement. People expect that they're going to start with a certain amount of state assistance, and then their lifestyle should be subsidized by the state, county, or somebody else. And it's our tax dollars going to somebody else's underperformance. It's no longer a safety net.
Yeah, I mean, look, we want people to be self-reliant. The Democrats want them to rely on the state, the government.
I want to give you guys the first sneak peek at the President Joe Biden bookmobile.
That's going to be his library?
An ice cream parlor, yeah. And this is it. And Joe's going to have ice. He's going to stock it with ice cream and a couple of coloring books and crayons.
Yeah, that also says, when is the last time you saw an ice cream truck in your neighborhood?
Well, Joe's going to bring them back. That's why he's got a bookmobile, in a good humor truck.
Life has changed so much over the years in terms of how different things are here and gone, and no longer around anymore, part of our culture. And it's that's progress, I guess, is how you define that. But it's interesting to see, as the older we get, how much we see just everything around us change all the time.
And after Evan Glass lost this weekend, he had some free time, from what I understand. So I can find that kind of funny bit there that I did too.
We're in overtime. We probably should wrap this up.
Yeah, let's go to final thoughts, Don. Who wants to go first? Chris, you want to do your final thoughts?
I'll go first because I don't have a lot to say. With no campaigning this summer, I got to find a job. So I'm going to be looking around. I'm really looking to try to do something down in the Pentagon, or in a.
You don't want to go for like a K Street law firm?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe a lobbyist, on the defense side, something in the defense sector. What I really want to do is find myself back in a spot where my current TS SCI clearance can be extended. So I'm going to look at getting back into national security and foreign policy, and then see where that goes. But I thought I was going to be busy this summer campaigning. Instead, I'll be job hunting and enjoying the pool with the little
You
ones.
should reach out to Northrop Grumman or SAICs of the world, because I know they've got on the secret. I know that on the NASA side they got a bunch of secret, top secret and stuff of those types of projects they're working on, which I can't talk about, but they've got projects.
Yep. Yeah, so that's my final thought. I got time this summer after all.
Mm-hmm. And Don, final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Well, I think first thought would be is that I think one of these TV networks ought to pick Chris up and use his intellect and his knowledge on military
Hey, John,
affairs.
John Gizzy at Newsmax, Chris would be a great commentator for you guys.
I
or a
mean, I know Chris has been on a number of programs commenting about the situation in Iran and other things like that. Still very valuable intelligence there that people I think these networks could use, but it's hard to crack that sometimes. Yeah. But you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully you get in the Pentagon. That'd be a great gig, that's to do that. So final thoughts. I think just a few things here. So Trump got another victory of sorts because the candidate he backed in Colombia won, very narrow margin.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is Abelardo de la Espriella. But what I find amusing is that, he wins, and then the left is like, oh, but they're voting irregularities. We got to look into this. It's like, really? Okay. The left, the communists who are always rigging and in elections, they lose a legitimate election and like, oh yeah, okay, there's something wrong here. We've got to look into irregularities. If the left loses something, there's voting irregularities. If they win, oh, it's fine. Everything is fine and dandy. So, but good for him. Yet another country that is turned to the right in that sense. Hopefully, he doesn't have as strong a mandate to say maybe Milei did in Argentina, but you just see the tide has shifted a great deal in Latin America, which I think is going to be good for the people there. Also, SCOTUS they released a bunch of opinions yesterday. There's more to come, the bigger ones on birthright citizenship and whatnot. But I mean, the ones they released yesterday, they really smacked the left around and on guns and things like that, and temporary protected status. Trump got a victory there. So I don't anticipate any shocking things happening with the next round here, because I think the court is definitely showing a very conservative bent this term. So we'll cross our fingers and hope here as they get to the last couple of days of the court session that we'll get as we get the final decisions, that we'll see yet more victories for our sides, because we've got the transgender thing, we've got the birthright citizenship thing coming up. So those are a couple of biggies with that, and we'll see where that takes us. So California has got a billionaires tax that's going to head to their ballot. Now, here's what I thought was interesting. Gavin Newsom has said, he hates it because he says they've already seen an exodus of these billionaires, these tech entrepreneurs leave for other states with lower tax. So he says, don't vote for this thing. But at the same point in time, I'm on some Democrat list, and he's put out a video and an email saying that he wants a nationwide billionaires tax. And I guess he's afraid that if California passes that, they're going to see a mass exodus of these very ultra wealthy people. But if you pass it nationwide, everything is all fine. Right? He's like, go ahead and tax these ultra rich. It's like, because they can afford it. It's such a crock from the left on that. And a couple real other quick things. So I have never been to a Buc-ee's. I don't know if either one of you guys have ever been to a Buc-ee's.
I have been to a Buc-ee's in Florida. in Daytona, actually.
For it? Well, I'm extremely envious because they don't have one still close enough that I want to feel like I'm driving there, but they did open one up out in Goodyear, Arizona. And I'm thinking, like, the next time I go to Arizona, I might just make my way to Goodyear and do this. But this thing is, people lined up the day before to get into the opening of this thing. It's like,
it's not the new iPhone, people. It's only Buc-ee's.
This is not Chick-fil-A where I've seen the craziness, or something like that. This is not a concert. This is Buc-ee's. So it's amazing, the phenomenon of Buc-ee's. And I think that just becomes even more so when people see that. There's a desire for more people to go when one opens up nearby them. And then see if I can bring this up here. So then I'm wearing my BYU shirt. I didn't go there. My kids did. But congratulations to AJ DeBonsta, who had a great freshman season for BYU, and was the number 1 pick of the Washington Wizards. The question will be, can the Wizards actually put a team together this year and decide that they actually want to win?
No. That's a no.
Well, look, they've been sports can suck at times because the things are set up so if you tank, you get draft choices. You get high draft choices. So the Wizards have been purposely losing for years and to try to build a team. And they've actually slowly but surely been kind of doing that, and in a sense, baseball has kind of that. I mean, the Nationals won the World Series, 2019? It's 2026. They're nowhere close, but they're doing way better than anybody thought they were doing this year. But it's taken them 7 years, and they're still going to be years away from competing in the playoffs.
I mean, look at the Orioles. They haven't been to a World Series since '82.
The Orioles, I know you love that team, and what was it? How many years ago? A couple of years ago, they had won 100 games or whatever it was, and you think, hey, they have all those young guys, and they're going to do really well, and then the wheels fell off the bus. And they can't. They were just struggling.
That's Orioles magic.
They've gone so far backwards. It's incredible.
Orioles magic, everyone. Orioles magic.
Yeah, I don't know what Orioles magic would be. They need Orioles miracle at this point in time.
We were over 500 for more than 5 days this year, and that's good enough for me.
Well, what I think is interesting is that baseball will have to negotiate the collective bargaining agreement, the labor agreement after the season to avoid a lockout next year. And the owners are floating all kinds of things like the other leagues have, like, salary cap, and then some other kind of things, which the players union, I don't see how they're going to buy into that because
let baseball be baseball.
Are making all kinds of money. And the owners are still doing pretty well too. But it is insane to see the kind of salaries in the major leagues that we see, but the salaries in the other pro leagues are just equally as eye-popping to me. So I don't know that a salary cap necessarily is the answer for the MLB at this point in time either. So anyway, that's a lot of final thoughts. So back to you, Dwight.
But the Orioles magic is that they turn a profit even though they're bad. They're very bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, look, they were making a profit when they were terrible because
they were making a profit. They went 0-23
because they had. I mean, even though they didn't have a lot of people showing up to the games, they weren't paying anybody anything.
Yeah,
so they had basically almost no payroll, and it was between TV money and all the other stuff. They made money, right?
Yeah,
you can make money in the pros if you do it like that. And now you see what these teams are selling for. I mean, I think the San Diego Padres are being sold for what, $3 or $4 billion, something like that.
So are they going to move from San Diego to like Arizona or something like that? Or
no, I mean they're going to keep it there, but I mean it's just some eye-popping number that they're being sold for. It's just
honestly, if I had a sports franchise in California, I would move it out to anywhere but California because the taxes. Because if I own a sports franchise in California, I'm getting hit with that billionaire's tax. And the players are probably going to get hit with that millionaire's tax they still have. Think
about the athletes. I mean, we know all the high tax states, right? when you're a pro sports athlete and you play in a high tax state, you're paying the tax for the salary you earned that day.
Yep.
You do need an army of accountants to keep track of that as you travel around the country. But
That you do. You need an account.
But can you imagine, the taxes you're paying in, say, Illinois and in New York and in California versus if you're playing in Oklahoma or Texas?
Mm-hmm.
How much more money you keep when you play in the other states or if you live in the other states? So anyway,
yeah. My final thought is and I usually don't really care about flash mobs, but you guys know Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Oh yeah, one of my favorites.
Okay, check this out, Don. This is an awesome flash mob they've done for this. It's Bohemian Rhapsody. Check them out. It is they do it in the streets of France somewhere, and these people just come out of nowhere, and they start singing on the streets, and they start singing from the windows, and but it's hilarious. Watch it. It is like really good. And there's like a 10-year-old on a guitar that is like really shredding the guitar. It is amazing. Red, White, and Blue dinner is next week, everyone. Hope to see everyone there. It's at the BWI Marriott next Tuesday. And it'll be a lot of fun. I can't vouch for the food, but if the food is good, if the vegetarian meal is as good as the vegetarian meal I got on United Airlines business class when I flew to Switzerland, I'd be pretty happy.
I don't miss banquet food.
We used that actually in Montgomery County. The food was pretty good when we did that.
I don't even eat anywhere near like I used to anyway. But I try to watch some things I eat so I don't.
I used to be able to put away 4 bagels easily. I made a sandwich the other day on a bagel. I still have a quarter of it left because I ate a quarter of it the day I made it. They ate the other quarter the next day, a quarter, and now I have a quarter of it still left. You just can't eat that. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I'm very disappointed in myself. I used to be able to put away 4 bagels. I could polish off an entire large pizza on my own. Now I bow to Chris, who can basically put away. By the way, how crazy is that? Chris won the Central Committee seat. And not only did he got the highest vote total in District 16. And Sharon Creed won too. Congratulations to Chris and Sharon. Are you District 39, Chris, or 17?
17.
17, okay. I really wish you ran for Central Committee. You probably gotten on there.
In hindsight, I wish I didn't realize I could do both. In hindsight, I wish I had as well.
Yeah, well, they'll be vacant. Keep your eyes open. There'll be vacancies, and you should definitely apply for a vacancy.
There always are vacancies that pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even with only 22 members on the committee, they'll still have vacancies pop up. I mean, they couldn't field 2 people in District 14, but then again, they couldn't field candidates everywhere in Montgomery County. But that's neither here nor there. And they did a lousy job covering the polls for you in District 16. District 6. Yeah. I don't know if you drove around any of the polls in Montgomery County. It was not good.
We spent all early voting and through Election Day. We were on a route. We were hitting all the way up to Washington down, and we must have stopped at 20 different polling sites. Well, of course, we hit as many of the 15 in the early voting across CD6. But then for voting itself, it was disappointing. I'm not going to lie. No Republican table. Very difficult to get volunteers out. That was disappointing.
And my other final thought is check out the Montgomery County Republican Club site. We've got a lot of articles there. We average 4 to 6 new articles every single day, kind of like I run 4 to 6 miles a day. We only put 2 out on Substack, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. So keep hitting the website. I mean, we're getting foot traffic. Well, I guess you can call foot traffic to our website. We're averaging about 75 to 80,000 people a day coming to our site, which I think is phenomenal for our little site, you know. And we've got a great article on data centers. And by the way, that's another thing, Chris. You were the only candidate that didn't jump on that no data center bandwagon. Thank you for being reasonable and thinking things through. Unlike everyone else here, I tell people we should worry when we agree with the Democrats on something. What is it that they know that we don't know about data centers? And safest thing for many Republicans is just do the opposite of what the Democrats do. It's
right.
safe to do. And that is my final thoughts for tonight. Good night, everyone. We'll see everyone. Are you guys around next week on the 3rd, or are you guys going to be celebrating?
I'll be up camping in Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool. Enjoy. We might be on, we might not be on. Stay tuned, guys. We might be here next week. We may not be here next week.
Yeah, I mean, I should be around unless there's something I don't know about, but whatever.
Yeah, do they still do fireworks at the fairgrounds like they used to?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Anyway, so good night, everyone, and we'll see everyone next week. And if you missed our opening, very special opening, we'll have it on YouTube after it's fine-tuned a little bit. Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Let's go down to Masoni, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Masoni's, we'll have a good